This is section 9.5, factor x squared plus bx plus c. So we're going to factor polynomials that are only of the form x squared plus bx plus c. Alright, one way to think about it is kind of like we are undoing our multiplication or reversing given a polynomial. So normally we would have two binomials and we would multiply them together to get a trinomial. Only when we factor, we're given a trinomial and we're trying to figure out what are those two factors that when put together give us this result. So it's kind of like thinking about a meal or a cake or a dessert and trying to figure out what are the ingredients that when put together gave us that end result. Alright, there's a few different ways to think about it, and most of it is just trying to keep your thoughts organized. So if we are factoring a trinomial of this form, meaning it is a quadratic, it has a squared term, and then a coefficient of 1, and bx plus c, we can factor it into two binomials where p and q, when added together, give us b, and when multiplied together, give us c. So for example, if we have x squared plus 5x plus 6, factors of 6, well, 2 and 3 are one set of factors, and it just so happens that when added together they equal 5, and when multiplied together they equal 6. So some people will set that up with an x, or some people will set that up with a flowchart. So if you want to do it this way with the x, you're thinking, okay, what times what gives me c that when added together gives me b? So for example, this is my x. I'm asking what times what gives me 6 that when added together gives me 5? Well, 2 and 3. Very similarly, you could also write it out this way. What times what gives me 6 that when added together gives me 5? Well, 2 times 3. So, for example, if we want to factor this trinomial, we're trying to figure out what are factors of 18 that when added together give us 11. Well, you can start listing out all the factors of 18. Nine and 2, 6 and 3, 18 and 1. And then I'm trying to figure out, well, what will give me 11 when I add it together? 6 and 3 is 9, but 9 and 2, that's 11. So now x plus 2, x plus 9 should be the factorization of this. But we can always double check by multiplying it back out. So I would get x squared plus 2x plus 9x plus 18, which when we combine like terms is x squared plus 11x plus 18. So we know that that's right. Now for another example, we're looking at what factors of 8 when added together give us negative 6, so you need to treat that as a negative. So again, you can think about your factors of 8, 4 and 2, or 8 and 1, but remember we're going to have to make negative 6, so negative 4 times negative 2 will give us positive 8, but also negative 2 plus negative 4 equals negative 6. So now I have y minus 4 times y minus 2. And then if we FOILed those back out, we would get y squared minus 6y plus 8. Alright, for this one, we are looking at factors of negative 20 that when added together give us a positive 1. So again, think of your factors of 20. 10 and 2, well, that can't make 1, although 1 would have to be negative. But then I have 4 and 5. So if 1 has to be negative, if it's negative 4 plus a positive 5, well, negative 4 plus 5 is 1, and also negative 4 times 5 is negative 20. So this time I have x minus 4 times x plus 5. Alright, for this one, again, we're looking at factors of 12 that when added together give us negative 8. So if I think of factors of 12, again, even though 6 times 2 gives us positive 12, 6 plus 2 does not give us negative 8. So this needs to be negative 6 times negative 2, because that is still positive 12, and when added together is negative 8. So now I have n minus 2, n minus 8, and then you can always check. N squared minus, that should be n minus 6. So n squared minus 2n minus 6n becomes minus 8n, and then plus 12. So we know that's right. Alright, for this one, notice it doesn't just say factor the equation, it says solve the equation. So remember, when we're looking for solutions, we're asking what values of y, in this case, would make this equation 0. So to do that, we first need to set this equal to 0, and for that, we can subtract 24 from both sides. So you're left with y squared minus 2y minus 24 equals 0. And now we're going to factor just like before. So what are factors of negative 24 that when added together give us negative 2? Well, that would be negative 6 and positive 4. So we're left with y minus 6, y plus 4 equals 0. So now for the last step, we're still not done, because we need to actually set each side equal to 0. So we know y is equal to positive 6 and negative 4. And in this case, if we're asking for the solutions, that would be the final answer. Alright, very similar again, we need to solve, so we need to set it equal to 0. So we're going to get b squared minus 3b minus 28 equals 0. And now we're looking for factors of negative 28 that when added together give us negative 3. Well, negative 7 times positive 4 is negative 28, and negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3. So now I have b minus 7, b plus 4 equals 0. So b minus 7 is equal to 0, and b plus 4 is equal to 0. So b is equal to 7 and negative 4. And that's it for this section.